I had to climb a 3-story ladder to see the cliff dwelling I'm going to tell you about in today's English story. Listening to stories like this one in English is one of the best ways to become more fluent, and it's a very good way to learn more vocabulary and actually remember it so that you can use it. Welcome to English Coach 3Ts. I'm teacher Tanya, and I've created a free practice plan you can use to go along with this story so that you can practice your English in a way that actually works. To get this free practice plan, or you could call it a help sheet, just click on the link that I will put in the description below. Fill in your name and your email address, and I will send you the practice plan for free. And you will also be able to get to the practice plans from the previous stories. So, what is this story about? This is a special story when Tanya, my oldest daughter, and I took a special trip when she was in, I think, about 6th or 7th, fifth or sixth grade. So she was probably, 11 or 12, maybe in that age range. And at the school she was attending at the time, they had what they called a big trip. And this was a trip that the whole class would take together to go somewhere special and learn all kinds of things. And in fact, the previous year we took a really cool trip to Philadelphia, and I haven't told that story. I'll put it on the list. But this year, the class was going to take a trip that was really kind of difficult. I guess I would say it wasn't very well planned. And another one of the moms and I were talking about how we really weren't feeling good about sending our kids, who were pretty young, on this trip that wasn't very well planned, even though probably both of us would volunteer to go with them. And so we decided to create our own big trip. And so she and I and both of our daughters looked at some possibilities of places we could go that were within a reasonable drive. Here in the United States, we'll often drive 5, 6, 7, 8 hours to go on vacation. We consider that reasonable. And after we looked at some of the options we had, we all chose to go to Mesa Verde National Park, which is an incredible national park here in the United States. It's located in Colorado, and it's located very close to what is called Four Corners. It's the only place in the United States where 4 states come together, and then there's 4 corners, and you can actually go there and stand in 2 of the corners, or put your feet in 2 states and your hands in 2 states. We weren't able to do that because that particular park was closed at that time. I'm pretty sure my girls and I know we did it at a different time. I don't remember when. I'll have to ask them. Anyway, the 4 corner states are Arizona, where I am now, Utah, which is right above Arizona, Colorado, which is just to the right of there or east, and that's where Mesa Verde is. And then below Colorado is New Mexico. All really amazing states if you are interested in visiting the United States and seeing some of the incredible landscapes and all kinds of things that you can see while you're here. You asked for it, so I created it. My new We Speak Fluency membership is now open for women and men who have an intermediate level of English and want to be more fluent. If you'd like to take classes with me on Zoom, join conversation groups, and have a platform where you can chat 24/7, this is the membership for you. Look for the link in the description below so that you can get more information and join us in the We Speak Fluency Club. I'll see you in class. Right now, I'm offering a special discount for new club members, so look for the code below. So Mesa Verde is home to one of the most impressive cliff dwellings, which actually dates back to, I think, about 7,500 BC, before Christ. So like over 9,000 years ago, there were people who built this dwelling. A dwelling is anything you can live in, so like a home, an apartment, a building. This was a cliff dwelling, is what we call it, because it's built into the side of a cliff. So a cliff is like where it's a mountain goes up like this. That's a mountain. A cliff goes up like this. You can fall off a cliff. So if you were standing at the edge of the Grand Canyon and you looked down, you would be standing on the edge of a cliff looking into the Grand Canyon. And this cliff dwelling is really, really incredible. A lot of it is still intact, or in other words, intact meaning it is still together. It hasn't come apart, and it is still a lot the way it was thousands of years ago. Of course, a lot of it is not intact. A lot of it is missing, but historians have pieced the story together in such a way that you can learn a lot about these people who lived there all this time ago. So I did just a tiny bit of reading to tell you about this cliff dwelling. Mostly the story is about what I said at the beginning of the video, where we had to climb up a 3-story ladder. Now, each level in a building can be called a story, or a level, or a floor. So people will say, I have a 2-story house, or my house has 2 floors, meaning the first floor and the next floor up, or it has 2 levels. This cliff dwelling is up on this cliff, and so you have to climb this ladder that's 3 stories house, like a 3-level house, up this ladder. I'm going to tell you more about that in just a second. I just want to say the little bit that I read, which is the people who lived in this area thousands of years ago were nomadic Paleo Indians, or indigenous people. Obviously, here over 9,000 years ago, they were here before Christopher Columbus got here in the 1400s, which was only 600 years ago, something like that. And the United States itself is only a little more than 200 years old. Okay, I guess it's getting close to 240 years old. Let me think about this. 76, 86, 96, 06, 16. We are almost, wow, okay. And the United States itself is not quite 250 years old. So thousands of years ago, there were other people here who built these cliff dwellings, and they were nomadic paleo indigenous people, like I said. And the reason that I wanted to be sure and say this, in addition to giving you this information, is I recently told you about my own nomadic journey that I'm on now. If you didn't see that video, I'll put it down in the description and link it above so that you can take a look. So we got to the bottom of the cliff dwelling. We're looking up. We've already gotten some information at the National Park Center, and we're all very excited to see what's up in this cliff dwelling. And the other mom that was with me kind of takes me aside. We say we take someone aside if we're like, come over here and talk to me. And she's like, I am scared to death. In other words, I am super, super scared. but I don't want to act like I am this scared in front of the girls, our daughters. And so I was wondering if you would let me climb up the ladder and you climb up right behind me so that I know you're there, and that will help me to be less scared. Which, of course, I was happy to do that. Being someone who has spent a lot of time out in nature, a lot of time climbing, and I've never done actual rock climbing, but I've climbed up some areas when I was hiking and things that, even though I was a little nervous to climb such a tall ladder, I wasn't scared to death. I'm curious what your thoughts are on how we should or could act in front of our children when it comes to fear. Because I, as a mother, when I was younger, thought it was important for me to show a large variety of my feelings so that my kids could see that all feelings are natural. And I also understand this mother's view from the point that if I am showing myself as really, really scared to death, I might be engendering fear in my children or nurturing fear, or maybe having them or teaching them to be fearful when it's not necessary to have that much fear. Which brings up a whole nother topic of when is fear necessary, but that's another story as well. I'll put it on the list. So the other mom started climbing up this ladder, and I started climbing up behind her, and I just kept saying to her, don't look down, just keep looking up towards the cliff dwelling, don't look down. And out of curiosity, I thought, but I want to look down. I want to see. And when I looked down, what I didn't know is that the ladder was 3 stories tall, like a 3-story building. But it was on the side of a cliff going down. I don't know how far it went down, but really far. So when I looked down, I thought maybe I would see, 2 stories down, but it was like many, many stories down. And I was like, it was so scary. But because she was scared and she had asked me for help, I thought, I cannot be scared. And it's interesting how this works. Like, okay, I just turn that fear off. I'm here for the other person. Have you ever had this experience? I bet if you are a mom, maybe even a dad, you've had this experience where okay, I'm scared, but I'm here for the other person. I'm here to help the other person out. I can feel my feelings later. And so that's how I did it. And actually, we got up to the top, no problem. The 2 girls climbed the ladder, no problem. And this place is really spectacular. Spectacular is just another way to say amazing, something incredible to see, something wonderful. It was like nothing I've ever seen before this time. Now, I have been back to Mesa Verde with my whole family, both of my girls and my husband at the time. It is such an incredible place to visit that we decided that we would go back on a family vacation as well. And actually, I would go back again. It's that amazing. I would say it's one of the most incredible things I've ever seen. And if you know me, you know that I love history. I love learning from history, and I also love nature. And this was all of those things: nature, history, so many incredible things to learn from. I'm curious where you've been in your country that is one of your favorite places that you have ever visited. Where's somewhere you've gone that you think was really amazing in your country or near your country, or heck, let's just include wherever you've been. I think it's so cool to hear from other people places they've visited and what they've enjoyed about it, so that you can decide places you might like to travel. Let me know in the comments below. Later on, like I said, our whole family visited this place, and it isn't far from another story that I told you about where we actually stayed in a Native American hogan. If you'd like to learn more English, more vocabulary, and another story, I recommend you watch that story next here, and I'll see you there. Bye.